It is Friday, January 25th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was very fun. Get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Friday. We were doing some stuff from an interesting transition that I happen to really like. It's when you're going from mount up to the triple threat. And that one, I don't know what it is, man, but I really like it. If I feel my opponent turning up on their side, I immediately reach in for that underhook and get the gift wrap. And I've actually caught some higher belt people like that. It's always surprised the shit out of me when it's happened. It's like, oh my goodness, my arm is in the right place, and it just like instinctually wraps around that wrist and starts pulling downward toward your body, and now you can't move it. Oh my goodness. And so I don't know what it is. It's just like I said, it's been like etched into my brain to do that from the mount. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun today for me at least, is because that transition. The thing that I have the most trouble with though is putting my foot in the right place on the outside. So like you've got one hook, it's kind of a hook over their waist and right around about belly button level, and that heel like pulled in, right? And so when you step on the outside and you get up on your toes and then fall forward onto the knee, that's probably the spot where I had the most trouble with it. But other than that, I really enjoy it. It seems like there's a lot of potentials there for arm bars, and as a matter of fact, I think that's like one of the only sit-ups where I've actually gotten an arm bar on somebody was that I managed to remember to get that instinctively right up in there, get that underhook, right? Reach through, grab that forearm, pull it in tight to the body, and then put my hand on the outside of their head, like somewhere between their ear and their shoulder there, and just kind of push down on the head while you're doing that, and lean over and get the other leg up over their head, lean back, arm bar. Yeah, like I said, that's the only one I think I've ever gotten on somebody. I think I might have gotten one other route for an arm bar, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Anyway, so yeah, I had a lot of fun as far as my performance on any of this sparring goes. I've been upping my rate of occurrence at jiu-jitsu. So instead of just going 3 times a week, this week I did go. Did I go Wednesday? No, I took Wednesday off, but I went Monday. I would have done a 2-a-day on Monday, but there wasn't any early AM class, so I just did the 1 on Monday, and then I did 2 on Tuesday. I did the fundamentals class, and then the advanced class, and I think that one's actually Jiu-Jitsu 2. And then on Thursday, yesterday, I did the same thing. I did fundamentals, and then the more advanced class, and then today I got in another class. So that's 6 this week. I got in 7 last week. It's a much higher rate of occurrence for jiu-jitsu for me. I'm not quite there yet, and so I think I'm still kind of adjusting to the difference in how much it requires of me as far as my weekly output. There is a difference between the two, and like going from like your daily output adjustments and your weekly output adjustments and your monthly output adjustments. There's things to account for. Damn, that's loud. There's things to account for, in like your diet and your sleep and whatnot, where you have to make up for it somewhere. You have to sleep a little bit longer, or you need to try and get to sleep a little bit earlier. You need to eat a little bit more, or at least eat a little better. And so far, it seems like I've just been losing weight. I haven't actually hit a level yet where I'm not really losing weight usually I'll plateau. Like the last plateau that I hit was around, I want to say between 210 and 213, where I would fluctuate 3 pounds, and I was getting in about 3 times a week. And so this time I got down to 208, and I'm probably actually lighter now because I usually weigh myself before class. And so I weighed myself before class today, and I was 208. So, after class, I'd imagine I probably burned off a pound or sweated off a pound worth of water. But anyway, I've been hitting kind of a plateau now where I have not found my bottom of the range. I'd imagine it's probably going to be somewhere between 203 and like 198, where I'll just be fluctuating between those two. And to me that would be really great because that would get me down a full weight class. And so if I were to be competing again, the chances that they're just going to skip me ahead to super heavyweight is a little lower. That was not pleasurable last time. I did take the match. They asked me beforehand. It's like, if we can find, we don't have anybody in your weight class and your belt class and your age class. So if there's somebody available that's in your belt class who's is heavier or lighter, or will you roll with them? And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. So what happens? The guy I roll with has got me by like 20-30 pounds, and it's all muscle. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I can deal with somebody who's that much bigger than me who doesn't also have skill, but I could tell by the way this guy's rolling, that was not the first white belt he's ever worn. That was the guy that, like, he got his jollies in boxing and kickboxing for years, and then, due to an injury or whatever, switched over to judo, and then, or either that or he was a wrestler for 20 fucking years, and, and then got into jiu-jitsu, like, to try and rekindle that, that burn or whatever. I don't know. All I know is the guy was very, very skilled and very, very muscular. And not to take anything away from him. No, not at all, man. The guy deserved nothing but respect because he defeated me cleanly and roundly. I really didn't have an option but to tap. But nonetheless, I think now he'd probably find me a little bit more challenging. Only because, I have been spending a bit more time in the gym, and yeah, I think I've got a few more tricks up my sleeve than I did when I went on the mat the first time. Although I do not believe that I'm ready for competition at the blue belt level, even at my age class and weight class and all that other bullshit. So yeah, I would definitely need to be doing my current load for like a couple months beforehand. Before I would really consider going and trying to compete again, just because I know there's guys out there that are terribly passionate about their jiu-jitsu, and especially if they're going and competing, terribly passionate about their jiu-jitsu. So they're probably putting in like 5-6 days a week, and 3-4 hours of fucking time, and they're doing the 2 hours of open mat after class, and if I'm going to compete, I got to be at that kind of level. I feel like that, at least on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that I'd need to be going from fundamentals all the way through open mat and drilling during open mat, and also sparring, of course, to try and get some stuff down before I'd be feeling like I was competent enough to compete. I think that it would be kind of a dishonor to myself and my school to go forward into any kind of competition without having that much devotion behind it, To me, competition is like the reward, it's like you get to take out the firearm and live test her. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. And I'm feeling in the mood, and it's been a long time since I've done it, so here it is. the ski mask way, First Dance, here on Coin Metal Body Count. And that was Meshuggah with Concatenation. Actually, that started off as a request by Mr. Mind Crypto for Future Breed Machine, and I love that song, but for some stupid reason it plays at a goofy fucking what do you call it, beats per minute. It's like, for some reason my computer mistranslates it, and so it's like, it's very disappointing, because I love that album and I like to add songs from it to the show, and it's just very frustrating when it doesn't work out right. Anyway, as far as what we're going to get into today, I got a couple things on our, well, you know me, I got like 8 billion freaking tabs open in my browser here. And the first one I want to get into, though, is something that I've really not given too much of a shit about, and only because I don't trade in derivatives, and so the idea of cryptocurrency derivatives is kind of silly to me. I mean, we already have something that works just as well as far as like a funding source, and that would be ICOs, of course. And the whole idea of derivatives is very important when you're talking about commodities that you can't actually or don't actually receive, or expect to receive. So when we're talking about gold derivatives, you're not expecting them to deliver the physical gold to your house at any point whatsoever. But, you have the option to buy, and that's kind of what that represents. And so the idea of that with regard to cryptocurrencies is kind of stupid. Because the thing is that there are periods of the year when it's impossible to mine gold in some of the most highest yielding areas where they mine gold, right? And so you have market disruptions in supply, and that really causes that price to do a lot of fucking whipsawing, and so the derivatives kind of even it out over the year. They also distort the price, the real price. And when we're talking about what it takes in actual energy to get the fucking gold out of the ground and all the way to the market where it can be priced, if we were to take that into account in real world terms, there's no fucking way in the world it would be anything under like $15,000-$20,000, because it takes a lot of fucking work to get that shit out of the ground. If you doubt it, look it up in YouTube. Like, look up gold dredging, okay, and you will see videos after videos after videos of people dredging in rivers and shit. Now, mind you, there are a few that I consider really suspect, like specifically Russian ones, because either A, those people are sitting on so much fucking gold that there's no excuse for them to be broke ever, or B, they're seeding some areas and just jerking you off by showing you these huge fucking nuggets. I mean, because, like, when you watch Americans doing this whole dredging shit in rivers, like, they freak out over anything that's like a gram size. They completely fucking freak out. Oh my god, it's a picker! Oh yeah, look at that one! Oh my god, oh yeah! And like 5 guys all around this fucking this dish, and like they're around a campfire, and it's like 10 below outside or something like that. No, man, it's this itty bitty teeny tiny speck of gold, right? And then we watch one in Ukraine where this chick, she's like walking along the sand, and she's got this what looks like a colander for sifting out what do you call dripping dry your noodles or something like that, and she's just digging it down into the sand and shaking it a little bit, and she's getting these huge fucking chunks of gold, and I mean like ounces, right? And I'm like, there's no fucking way, there is no fucking way that's real. I mean, it's like, they've been out there for like 4 or 5 days beforehand, and it might be a rich vein, and they're getting a lot of those quote unquote pickers like we were just talking about in the American side, and then they take those to a smelter, right? And they smelt them down and then just splat it on the ground, and then take the big nugget of 1 ounce of gold that represents about 12 hours worth of sifting through the fine shit to try and get those itty bitty teeny tiny bits of gold. And then they bury it in the sand, and then come back by like, oh yeah, this is just an average day of digging gold out of the ground. It's bullshit. Either that, or like I said, Russia is like, it's a big gold nugget with some dirt on top of it. It's like, it's one or the other. One of those two things is real. It's like, there's no way that they could be both real. That there are so few people in Russia that they're just not over. If there's many people in Russia is like, maybe, I don't know if there were as many as there are in Canada. I could see that being a possibility, that somebody living in some backwoods area never got industrialized, never really was impacted by anything recently, where they would have really big deposits of gold in these itty bitty creeks. But like I said, it's like they could not have had like any kind of manufacturing boom there. They're probably been agrarian for the last like 500-600 years or something like that. That's the kind of reality you would need around you to make this possible. A possibility where you could go down to the river and find chunks of gold that are like, I don't know, the size of a big strawberry or something. But that's the kind of videos that you find on YouTube. Anyway, if you really want to talk about it in those terms of like how much work it takes to get an ounce of gold and then get it to market, we're talking about a shit ton of energy, shit ton of time, a lot of digging, a lot of swimming, a lot of panning. And so when you take all that into account, there is no possible way you would ever sell an ounce of gold for anything less than several $1,000s if we were talking about reasonable rates for your labor. But the market's able to distort it, though, because instead of just getting, the $15,000 or $20,000 per ounce that you would get for like the 2 or 3 months out of the year when you can actually work, and paying for the rest of the year, you have like $1,500 an ounce, but you're getting paid throughout the year. You know what I mean? Instead of having that 9 months of no pay, you're still getting paid on it. But in realistic terms, though, it allows the market to be distorted in such a way that if you were able to calculate it according to energy, there's just no fucking way. It'd be like $60,000, $70,000 for a fucking ounce of gold. Anyway, so the idea of taking this whole model that's made up to account for that 9 months of no working, and even the market out for the year. When we're talking about cryptocurrencies, we're talking about something where you can take delivery with it practically instantly, and in some cases more or less instantly. But the point being is, you don't have to wait for it. There's no dredging involved. There's no mining. There's no breaking of rocks and shit like that to get to the gold. No. You can take the possession of it instantly. So again, the idea of needing a derivative to represent sums of it is completely fucking ludicrous. And I think that we're going to come to this point in the not so distant future where we're going to get really realistic about cryptocurrencies. We're still able to fuck off. We're still in fantasy land with all of this shit. When it becomes a real choice, as to whether or not you should use cryptocurrencies to transact as opposed to US dollars or another medium of exchange, a lot of the discussions that you're hearing right now aren't going to be happening. And a lot of the metrics that we talk about on this show, such as does your network work, does your shit do what it says on the package that it does, and does it do it in the way that it says it does, is going to really make a difference as to whether or not you're actually using it. And I believe at that time people are going to take the idea of mining much more seriously, because then it's a responsibility to not just yourself and not just your own interests, but the interests of everybody around you and involved in the economies that you're dealing with, that you're dealing in. And this is one of those aspects about cryptocurrencies that a lot of those people that are talking about cryptocurrencies like to downplay, because they don't like the idea of something that you actually have a stake in. They like the idea of having a situation where they are the provider and you are the user, and you will deal with it as the provider allows you to, not as you're capable of doing, but as delivered to you by a provider, i.e. a trusted third party, so on and so forth, a custodian. Well, think about the custodians in your life right now. Your bank accounts, your government, and you think about the kind of obligations that they're able to impose on you by you utilizing their services. So like say you wanted to buy drugs or something else that somebody else objects to. Maybe your Visa company doesn't like you buying guns or whatever. And it could not even be something that's threatening. Maybe it's just funding somebody in an area of the world that nobody else likes, like maybe Venezuela, Maybe because of all the tariffs and embargoes and all the other sanctions and whatnot that have been placed against them, there are people that don't want to facilitate your transacting with people within the borders of Venezuela. Well, why should they have that kind of control over your money? And especially if you've actually bothered to transition into cryptocurrencies. Because cryptocurrencies don't depend on these individuals or these entities to do anything. Give me an address and I can send anybody in the world any amount of money, anytime. I don't need Goldman Sachs. I don't need Wells Fargo. I don't need anybody else to facilitate the transaction. And with that being the reality, again, why are we bothering to talk about derivatives? All derivatives are is a means of market participants affecting the underlying value of the commodity in question without actually buying it, without actually putting any stake in it. And I find that to be kind of offensive. I really feel that the people that are dedicating the time, the effort, that they should be the ones that are actually the highest recipient of value out of the transaction. If I'm the one digging the shit out of the ground, hey baby, none of the action happens without me, so I should be getting the lion's share of the profit from it, right? But we're not talking about mining in some fucking creek up in Alaska. We're talking about mining on global networks of other miners. And so if I do the work of that, you're going to be... I want the money. I want the vast majority of it. And really, I deserve it. And because I don't need an intermediary between me and you, I should be able to just give it to you and you give me whatever I'm asking for it. Or at least an agreed upon amount or exchange rate that you and I agree upon. Because we are the market, It's not something that we actually need somebody else to feed to us. Now, of course, they provide us good examples for what the valuations should be, but we can actually estimate according to our own costs, our own relative costs, and base the premium of the transaction on those, as opposed to having to reference back to the greater economy out there to find for us a price. Anyway, it's with all this soliloquy in mind, I got this thing off of sec.gov. Securities and Exchange Commission release number 34-84988, file number SR CBOE-BZX 2018-040. January 23, 2019, Self-Regulatory Organizations, CBOE BZX Exchange Inc., notice of withdrawal of a proposed rule change to list and trade shares of SolidX Bitcoin shares issued by Van Eck SolidX Bitcoin Trust under BZX Rule 14.11E4, commodity-based trust shares. On June 20th, 2018, CBOE BZX Exchange Inc., BZX, filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, pursuant Section 19B1 of the Securities and Exchange Act of 1934 and Rule 19B4, thereunder, a proposed rule change to list and trade shares of SolidX Bitcoin shares issued by the Van Eck SolidX Bitcoin Trust under BZX Rule 14.11E4, commodity-based trust shares. The proposed rule change was published for comment in the Federal Register on July 2nd, 2018. On August 7th, 2018, pursuant to Section 19B2 of the Act, the Commission designated a longer period within which to approve the proposed rule change, disapprove the proposed rule change, or institute proceedings to determine whether to disapprove the proposed rule change. On September 20th, 2018, the Commission instituted proceedings to determine whether to approve or disapprove the proposed rule change, and on December 6, 2018, the Commission designated a longer period for Commission action on the proposed rule change. On January 22, 2019, BZX withdrew the proposed rule change SR CBOE BZX 2018-040 for the Commission by the Division of Trading and Markets pursuant to delegated authority. So basically they just said, well, you know what, I guess we're not as interested as we thought we were going to be. And so yeah, the CBOE backed off of the whole derivatives business thing. And honestly, I think it's a better idea to just try and facilitate a actual exchange, and maybe even getting into the banking end of things. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was reviewing a tweet that I got responded to. Anyway, we're talking about permission, more or less. You know, the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of organizations that have popped up and said, oh, you know, we'll do this for you and we'll do that for you, and then they run into the regulatory barriers that Bitcoin was designed to avoid, and then they're like, oh, well, you know, maybe we can't actually afford to do that, and so we're going to pull back. And in all honesty, I think that's more or less what's going on with the CBOE and this whole derivative thing, is that they're looking at, you know, the kind of delays that are being imposed on them by the SEC, and then bothering to ask for permission. And, you know, they've been trying to bend over backwards to keep things within the same regulatory frameworks that they've always enjoyed. And I say enjoyed because they know how to game the signals. You know, they know how to tell the SEC what they quote-unquote want to hear in order to make sure that they get to continue to be on the markets. Now, whether or not they're actually legitimate signals or not is a whole different story. And it's one that actually doesn't need to be gotten into at all. It's one of the reasons why cryptocurrencies even exist. is that we can actually verify the status of the funds at any one time. Everyone can. And as long as that's true about cryptocurrencies, or the thing that you're actually investing in, whether it be a cryptocurrency or something else, as long as that's the case, then you don't actually need any kind of derivative or representation or custodialship over your funds. And not having any kind of custodialship over your funds is what you need in order to avoid this shit. I got this thing here on Bloomberg. Bloomberg Economics. Maduro denied in bid to pull $1.2 billion in gold from the Bank of England. And this is by Patricia Leah and Ethan Bronner, authored on January 25th, 2019 at 11:11 a.m. PST. Thank you, Patricia and Ethan, for indicating where you were on the planet when you wrote this. So yes, penis, and no penis. Nicolas Maduro's embattled Venezuelan regime, desperate to hold on to the dwindling cash pile it has abroad, was stymied in its bid to pull $1.2 billion worth of gold out of the Bank of England, according to people familiar with the matter. The Bank of England's decision to deny Maduro officials' withdrawal request comes after top U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Michael Pompeo and National Security Advisor John Bolton, lobbied their UK counterparts to help cut off the regime from its overseas assets, according to one of the people who were asked not to be identified. The UK and the US and other countries on Wednesday the UK followed the US and other countries on Wednesday in recognizing Juan Guaido, the National Assembly leader, as the legitimate president of Venezuela. Maduro, an authoritarian ruler who's overseen the country's collapse into economic chaos, refuses to give up power, though he has the backing of the military. The U.S. officials are now trying to steer Venezuela's overseas assets to Guaido to help bolster his chances of effectively taking control of the government. The $1.2 billion worth of gold is a big chunk of the $8 billion in foreign reserves held by the Venezuelan Central Bank. The whereabouts of much of it is unknown. It's probably in North Korea. Or China. That'd be even funnier, right? It's like go knocking on the Chinese door. Hey man, can you give us their gold? No, fuck you. You can't have it. What are you gonna do now? Anyway, continuing. Meanwhile, officials at the central bank in Caracas have been ordered to no longer try contacting the Bank of England. These central banks have been told that Bank of England staffers will not respond to them, citing compliance reasons, said a Venezuelan official who asked not to be identified because he is not authorized to speak publicly. The Bank of England declined to comment on its handling of Venezuelan gold, saying it provides banking services, including gold custody services, to a large number of customers and does not comment on any of those relationships. That's really true. And you know, this is one of those things, kind of like the big fear about miners doing a 51% attack, is that if they ever do pull one off and they fuck a lot of people out of money, what does that do to the legitimacy of Bitcoin in the eyes of the public? Kind of fucks it up, right? So Bank of England is at least publicly indicating no deference one way or the other. Continuing on. The Bank of England declined to comment on its handling of Venezuelan gold, saying it provides banking services, including gold custody services, to a large number of customers, and does not comment on any of those relationships. The State Department didn't immediately respond to a request for comment, and an NSC spokesman declined to comment. A press official for Maduro also declined to comment. Yeah. So as far as this goes, I think there's a lot of fudding of Maduro going on right now. I'm not saying the guy is good or anything, or that he deserves to run Venezuela, but I believe that is the purview of the Venezuelan people to determine. I don't really believe it is the place of the United States or the UK or the UN or any other organization to tell the Venezuelans who their fucking president is. You know, it's like I saw something on Twitter and it was concerning Russia and Trump. And I was like, you know, due to all the interferences in the legitimate governments of other countries while you've been in office, and this was on Nancy Pelosi, I'm like, you know, due to all that shit, I really don't want to hear it. You know? There's brinkmanship going on. There's statescraft going on. There's assassinations. There's bombings. There's sanctions. You know, it's one of the things that they leave out of all of the bullshit regarding Venezuela is that fracking has been more or less weaponized, right? That we're trying to offset our own supply offsets with fracking. And the problem is that they aren't really long-lasting wells. And we're basically scraping the bowls of our pipes because we can't afford actual pot, you know. You know, but that's where we're at in the energy market right now. And so disrupting the legitimate governments of big oil suppliers is a good thing, because then you could just steal the shit. You know, we've seen that going on in Libya, Iraq, and I'm sure we'll probably see that a little bit in Venezuela if Maduro isn't smart about the deployment of his existing military. If he is smart, he's got everybody manning the oil fields and saying, you know, we're not going to be allowing you to bring in ISIS's or any other UN-created boogeyman to help steal our fucking national resources out from under us. You know, so basically it seems to me like it's an internationally imposed coup, you know, and it's like it flies in the face of national legitimacy to see that kind of thing going on. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, it's like this is like typical statescraft shit, you know. And so like I said, the Russians, quote unquote, meddling with our elections, I just don't want to hear it. You know, there's far more overt actions going on out there, and they're not as plain on the face of them, you know. And so this is one of those places where Venezuela, Maduro, if you're really, really smart, you'll drop this whole petro effort, and you'll start allowing everybody that you actually have the authority over to accept and send payments in cryptocurrencies. And as a matter of fact, all of the efforts that you've gone through so far to try and squelch it or try and get it out of the national view should be ended. And as a matter of fact, you should be probably encouraging your people to learn how to mine. Because even though that's going to loosen up just a little bit of control on your people there in Venezuela, what it's also going to do is eliminate all the control anybody has over who you get to sell your fucking oil to. You could be talking to Russia, you could be talking to China and say, hey, yo, I got a shit ton of Dogecoin, I really like Dogecoin, I'm willing to accept Dogecoin for my oil. Where's the fucking sanction that's going to stop that the U.S. is going to be able to impose on you if you're exchanging your oil for Dogecoin? And if you can turn right around after you've received the Dogecoin and cash it out for whatever fucking currency that you want, why would you bother trying to stop that? That would be opening up your economy to the entire planet and circumventing every kind of other restriction that other people have tried to impose on you. And I really think that would be in your best interest, especially now, because you've got something that everybody needs, at least everybody who's dependent on oil. And so facilitating the commerce by allowing different mediums of exchange would probably be a really good move. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And let's see, we played a lot of really good stuff last time around. That's the only problem with really hitting you with the good stuff, man, is I run out of good stuff. Anyway, I've got plenty of other good stuff, and so here it is. Ministry, let's go. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Skindred with Nobody. Yeah. And it is with that I want to get into this Forbes article, because, it's kind of what we've been talking about. The fluidity of monetary value nowadays, that we're not actually dependent on gold or silver or other commodities. In other words, in order to exchange value, not even Federal Reserve notes. And so here we are, Forbes.com. Here is the critical difference between Bitcoin and other crypto assets. I don't know if this is exactly what we've been talking about, but quite similar. Anyway, continuing. This is authored January 24th, 2019 at 7:06 a.m. No indication of where. This is by Kyle Torpy. So yes, penis. When looking at the marketing materials for alternative crypto assets, it's not uncommon to see some phrasing along the lines of, quote, "we're like Bitcoin, but with features X, Y, and Z." Altcoin promoters often point to Bitcoin as a slow, antiquated cryptocurrency that lacks advanced features such as anonymity, smart contracts, or cheap transactions. But according to Blockstream mathematician Andrew Poelstra, there's solid reasoning behind Bitcoin's alleged lack of features. In an interview with Monero Talk's Douglas Truman last month, Poelstra explained the critical difference in how Bitcoin users view this technology compared with the countless number of altcoin communities out there. Since this conversation took place on a podcast focused around the privacy-centered Monero altcoin, much of the points made by Poelstra were in the context of privacy features. However, these arguments can be applied to basically any feature promoted by various altcoins. Soundness and stability are required for, quote, digital gold. A key point made by Poelstra during his discussion with Tuman was that there is an intense focus on the soundness and stability in the Bitcoin community. Quote, "In Bitcoin, we care a lot about stability, soundness, and very long-term kind of stuff at the expense of cryptographic experimentation, at the expense of privacy, often, or at least privacy now," explained Poelstra. A lot of what Bitcoin developers are focused on are things that improve those goals, and they try to preserve the current state of the system with respect to what assumptions are needed to verify its soundness. No. There are a lot of them that are off on their own little adventure and trying to drive the entire development of Bitcoin to their whims. And there's a whole market of people out there that don't agree with them, but understand the actual power they've got in their hands. Continuing on. The arguments presented by Poelstra here point to the often used analogy that Bitcoin is a sort of, quote, digital gold, although some notable gold bugs vehemently disagree with this framing. Peter Schiff. As PayPal board member and Zappos CEO Wences Casares has said in the past, the idea is for Bitcoin to eventually become a global apolitical store of value and medium of exchange. Dude, you know what? Why do people keep putting this in a context of something that we're going to achieve, quote unquote, someday? I don't understand this. This is fucking bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. It's fucking global now. Now. Not sometime in the future. It's a store of value now. Not in 2029. Now. So this whole idea that we need to do something to make Bitcoin global, and fucking bullshit. Bullshit. The idea for these people, I think anyway, is to make Bitcoin theirs, and us, the rest of us, just kind of subject to whatever the fuck they want to do with Bitcoin. And there's something that these guys that write these fucking articles with this perspective just do not get. It's a matter of choice. When Bitcoin can't or won't do the things that we want it to do or need it to do, we go and use other options. It's kind of clear that the whole development cycle of Bitcoin has been kind of gamed around to promote a specific ideal of how to treat Bitcoin. And the problem is that these people that are projecting this ideal upon us do not speak for us, do not have any greater authority than your fucking next door neighbor over the direction of which way Bitcoin should go. It is global. It is not up to Blockstream. It is not up to even Satoshi Nakamoto anymore exactly how Bitcoin should develop and progress. And this is a point that this monkey that wrote this fucking article, and Poelstra and all these other guys that are currently involved in Bitcoin believe. Anyway, continuing on. Yeah, and also it is also global, apolitical, it is a store of value, and it is a medium of exchange. It's all in how you decide to use it. If you're just hodling it, whatever. It's up to you to decide how you want to use it. Continuing. It was at this point in the conversation that Tuman effectively asked when the Bitcoin community decided to pivot away from its cypherpunk and crypto-anarchist roots. No, it never did. Just they did. They were compromised by bankers. Bitcoin, however, is beyond them. And I'll go into this after I get done with this article here. After all those who follow these ideologies tend to put the importance of privacy above everything else. Quote, the critical difference between what Bitcoin is doing and what a lot of other projects are doing is that the absolute most important thing is that we do not destroy the system, responded Poelstra. It's really extremely risk-averse. I would agree with that. The Blockstream mathematician later added, quote, the view amongst the Bitcoin people I know is not that they don't care about privacy or fungibility. They care very, very much. But what they view Bitcoin right now as something in its infancy that is very much like a cool technology experiment. But it's one that cannot fail, or it's one that we better not cause to fail, and that takes precedence over everything else. Poelstra went as far as to say, in his view, the world won't get another chance at promoting the idea of decentralized cryptocurrency in a situation where Bitcoin fails. Actually, you're completely fucking wrong there, dude. If Bitcoin fails right now, there's another 2,000 to 5,000 other projects out there, and potentially innumerable ones on top of that. So I don't know what universe this guy is existing in, where if Bitcoin fails, everything else just goes gunny bags and dies. I don't get it. Continuing, quote, it's really, I think, in terms of public perception and global adoption. It would be very, very bad if Bitcoin were to fall on its face, especially after 10 years, said Poelstra. Maintaining Bitcoin's decentralization. According to Poelstra, there is also a desire to minimize the cost to participate in the Bitcoin network in an effort to maintain the useful level of decentralization. Quote, we care a lot about optimizing network propagation, said Poelstra. We care a lot about minimizing bandwidth, about minimizing disk space and CPU resource usage, and stuff like that. That much more than small smaller projects that are more willing to make those trade-offs in favor of privacy or fungibility technology. Poelstra added that this viewpoint is partially just part of the ethos of the Bitcoin community, but it also comes down to scalability concerns. There is no scaling without adoption, dude, and adoption includes mining. There are more users of Bitcoin than any other cryptocurrency network, so the concerns around blockchain scalability are more relevant here than with altcoins that haven't gained much traction up to this point. And that's not true either. There are plenty of adoption points all over the planet of people using cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin. So this whole idea that they're not gaining any traction, it's bullshit. Continuing. These concerns around scalability were a key aspect of the block size wars that took place in the Bitcoin community from 2015 through 2017, eventually culminating in the creation of Bitcoin Cash, and which harmed Bitcoin over the short term. No, it didn't. People that wanted Bitcoin with bigger fucking blocks supported Bitcoin Cash too. And that's another thing. I don't understand this idea that if you have one coin, that you have to stay with that one coin. See, I believe you can maintain your monetary value in a multitude of coins and diversify that way. There are a variety of projects out there that have a variety of focuses. And so why should you be focused simply on Bitcoin, that the majority of the development space seems to be focused on trying to turn it into the next quote-unquote internet, where there's going to be some service providers and the rest of us have to be subject to them. I don't know about you, but I don't like the way that the internet is developed to where, I got to pay $40 a month just to have half decent access to it. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Do you really want that happening in your fucking finances too? Not me. Especially not if I can't be one of the ISPs providing the service. Continuing on. Notably, Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto once commented that users of his digital cash system may eventually become, quote, increasingly tyrannical about this issue over time. Quote, even small single percentage performance losses are not something that we would be willing to accept lightly, said Poelstra in his recent Monero Talk appearance. Poelstra also noted that it is difficult to revert changes that have already been made to Bitcoin, not impossible, by the way, which is why there is a willingness to be patient with research. Yeah, by the way, people that have adopted quote-unquote SegWit can also opt back out again. What a shame that would be. Someone may eventually discover a much more efficient way of implementing a new feature or idea a few months or years after the ability to add the feature is first discovered. The privacy improvement known as confidential transactions is a useful example here, as a more efficient method of implementing this improvement was published by researchers including Poelstra in 2017. Although progress may seem like it's moving at a snail's pace from an outsider's perspective, there has been plenty of progress made in the development of the Bitcoin protocol over the years. For example, the Lightning Network could be Bitcoin's answer to altcoins focused on faster, cheaper payments. It's already surpassing altcoin payments at one online store. At one online store! Who fucking gives a fuck about one online store? I do not. And Poelstra covered the progress of privacy-related developments for Bitcoin, such as Schnorr signatures and Taproot, among his appearance at Monero Talk. Note, although not mentioned by Poelstra during his Monero Talk appearance, another key difference between Bitcoin and altcoins is security in terms of the amount of hashing power pointed at a particular crypto asset network. And why are you talking about it as crypto asset? See, to me, that's like you're trying to fuck up the vocabulary here. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's not a quote-unquote crypto asset. That's some fucking term made up by a banker. And also by a legislator, I might add. Because that's where else I find that lingo. Anyway, which is why a large chunk of Bitcoin transactions are now made on behalf of altcoins in order to piggyback on top of the level of security offered by Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin's relative security can be seen as a side effect of the developers' focus on stability and soundness. Actually, no, it's a reflection of the market. At the moment, there's been much less focus on mining, and it seems to be a product, or at least mining of altcoins, that seemed to be a product of the great drop in price, its level of interest. And this is something that can change over time, too. Such as if Bitcoin were to make changes that several altcoins didn't agree with. They might splinter back off. Or what we could see is that in the, months or years ahead, in the not so distant future, I would say, the Bitcoin transaction fee will exceed the tolerance of the market. And other coins will start to look more appealing as that happens. And again, as it's made clear the level of control that quote-unquote custodians will in fact have over your Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency funds that you're storing with them, will make clear why storing currencies with them and doing off-chain transactions with them is not really such a wonderful fucking idea after all. And this again will develop more interest in altcoins, and they will continue to exist until this time takes place. And so there is such things as merge mining and so on and so forth. These are survival tactics. And even though Bitcoin itself may die, I'm not worried about other cryptocurrencies dying. And I'm not really worried about Bitcoin dying, in all honesty. It's the balance of interests that make Bitcoin as dynamic as it is. And it's, I think, one of the reasons why people confuse who has the real interests here. It's not only because they've never had such control, it's because people don't tell them that they do have such control. These people don't speak for you. All these articles that I read on these shows, these don't speak for you. It's only to really to provide you any kind of perspective or context that I even read them. Because in all honesty, I think that a lot of the memetics and semantic adjustments they make in these articles are inappropriate. You know, again, they don't talk enough about your participation in these projects. You know, it's like they misrepresent exactly why altcoins exist. Altcoins exist because Bitcoin does not reflect the values of everybody who is interested in cryptocurrencies. Certain people have other interests. They observe what's going on in Bitcoin with regard to the control of the development and the various ways that people have tried to push it, such as censorship and doxing people and shit like that. And that sours the taste of Bitcoin on their tongue, especially when they experience it firsthand. And it doesn't really take long to figure that out either, that there's a small and dedicated group that are interested in pushing Bitcoin into the hands of only an elite. You know, and you're not it. And these people don't seem to understand that they represent a really minority view in the global market. That not everybody is really interested in having them involved in their transactions. And that some people might find their control and their thoughts of their control to be objectionable. You just don't seem to understand that. And so, that whole thing about, it's going to replace the need for altcoins is a bunch of bullshit. The need for altcoins is a political one. It's a control one. It's a sovereignty one. People used to talk about sovereignty when it came to Bitcoin. They don't talk about that anymore. Just like they don't talk about Bitcoin having quote-unquote optional miner donations anymore. No. It's a transaction fee. We don't even talk about miners in that context. Because, in the future, we don't really expect those fees to be going to miners, just simply transaction fees to payment service providers. You can kind of, when you think about it in those terms, you can kind of see their overall plan. They want to replace Visa and the Federal Reserve in your life, except with a lot more control over your funds. Because if you're restricted to solely transacting in those, that takes a lot of the commerce that enables you to basically survive in society at large away. And see, I don't think that's the control that most people want to give up over their funds or over their daily transactions. And because there are tools available that enable them to do that even without Bitcoin, I don't expect that we're going to be going back to a reality where they do have that kind of control. I mean, there's certain choke points right now, and we do feel the pressure of them. But again, as I've said multiple times on the show, nature will only accept a certain amount of negative pressure before she pushes back or tries to circumvent. Get up and over it. That's what nature does, and we are nature, and so I expect that we'll continue to get around it too. Anyway, I got this article here on newsbtc.com. Venezuela denied access to overseas gold. This is why Bitcoin is important. Actually, this is why cryptocurrencies are important. But anyway, continuing on. This is by Rick D., author, January 25th, 2019 at 11 p.m. So, today. About an hour in the future. Huh. Of course, no indication of where Rick is, because, I mean, shit, like I said, he could be in the future. It could be in PST, but in the future. Continuing on. Oh, yes, penis. As part of an international effort to wrest power from Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, the Bank of England has denied the nation access to gold deposits stored with the institution. Such instances highlight just why a permissionless store of value like Bitcoin is important on both the global and personal level. Several members of the international community, led largely by the U.S., recognized Juan Guaido as the rightful president of the South American country on Wednesday. However, Maduro continues to hold on to power and has the backing of the military. This has led to the withholding of Venezuelan assets stored overseas, such as the $1.2 billion worth of gold currently sitting in the Bank of England's vaults. Could Bitcoin be the ultimate check on international power abuse? There is currently an effort being made to strangle Maduro's leadership economically. According to a report in Bloomberg, Venezuela holds around $8 billion overseas. Members of the international community are attempting to withhold as much of this figure as possible from the regime and are looking for ways to funnel it to the leader they would prefer to be in control of the nation, Guaido. In this world, those who control the money have the power. The level of pressure the U.S. and other leading economies can exert on regimes they disagree with for whatever reason is staggering. This is incredibly worrying for democracy in parts of the world that may not share the same values with those more powerful nations or possess assets that these countries could benefit from. It makes little difference whether you believe Maduro to be the rightful or even good president of Venezuela or not. The fact that the most powerful members of the international community can exert such pressure through the control of assets should certainly not be considered trivial. This is why Bitcoin is important. Cryptocurrencies, that is, are important. Since it's entirely decentralized and requires permission from no single entity to use, cryptocurrencies have the potential to become an incredibly powerful asset class indeed, and might ultimately serve to curb the relentless hegemony of nations like the U.S. Many times in history, governments have attempted to exert control outside of their own jurisdictions. This is usually done under the guise of peacekeeping and protecting citizenry, but often has far more sinister implications for democracy. Elected governments can be brought to their knees through economic sanctions, forcing the will of the more powerful nation or group of nations without ever having to fire a shot. Multiple leaders who did not pander to the will of more powerful governments have been undemocratically replaced, and there seems to be little to suggest that such power plays will end anytime soon. This presents an opportunity for cryptocurrencies to create a much fairer global economic system, one that is accessible by all and entirely resistant to censorship. If certain members of the international community continue to abuse their power outside of their jurisdictions, it seems highly likely that those oppressed will eventually be forced to embrace cryptocurrencies as a check on global hegemony. Just as individuals can choose to exit their own economies using cryptocurrencies, so too can nations elect to exit from the current global financial system. As more begin to realize this, the balance of power internationally could be edging closer to an upheaval the likes of which have never been seen previously. Oh, brother, I believe you are correct there. And yeah, that was with minor changes by me. Yeah, I just put cryptocurrency in there instead of Bitcoin a couple times. It's because it's true. But the last one that was him. So there you go. He was still keeping it within the realm himself, although I think he could have gone a little further to do so. Thank you, Rick. Anyway, yeah, that's I think the bigger message here is that we are free to do those transitions. We are free to transition into other cryptocurrencies and thoroughly avoid a lot of the social pressure and economic pressure that other nations can put on our national governments. And this is including in the United States too. And I believe the transition that we're both I and Rick are talking about would be the the likes of which no one has ever seen before. Well, I would say probably hasn't seen since the creation of the coin. And that's something I've been spending a lot of time doing recently is watching videos about metal detecting. And it's funny because they find coins from hundreds of years ago here in the United States that aren't even circulated in the country of their creation. They're like Spanish reals and British farthings, and these were transacted as money here in the United States, and again, the banks of these countries don't actually support them anymore. They're out of casual circulation and have been for centuries. And it also brings to light the relatively short period of duration that the coins maintained any kind of circulation. Back in like the 16 and 1700s, there were a wide variety of different coins circulated here in the U.S. and right up until the 1900s. As a matter of fact, I'm sure to this very day there are plenty of other currencies circulating, even if it's just physically, possibly even digitally, here in the United States and abroad and even internationally, that nobody has any idea about. Because the people involved in those economies haven't really made it a point to indicate to other people that they exist. But the same level of autonomy is available to us through cryptocurrencies, where we could create within our own physical communities digital currencies and transact among ourselves, again, with zero contact to the outside world. We could be exchanging hard commodities for those digital currencies, again, without interfacing at any point with anybody not involved in our local commerce. Now, of course, we have the option of trying to pursue listing on cryptocurrency exchanges and expose ourselves to the global economy at large. But why endure that kind of risk? But again, it's that level of freedom that we're now enabled to have on an individual level, that now that we have cryptocurrencies. And so again, the idea of going under some sort of global standard where Bitcoin is the only coin, and somebody's jerking off in your ear, because they're trying to promise you the political and economic interest and financial interests of billions of people that they cannot possibly fucking account for. And I think that's that's something that just seems to either go over their head or in one ear and out the other, because it contradicts with their political or financial goals or whatever. I don't know, but it's like they don't seem to grasp that. They don't. They're not very observant of their own adoption and the thought process that they go through when making decisions about their own money, and say, well, gosh, everybody else is free to make these kind of decisions too. So why exactly would they be self-restricting by confining themselves under one financial rubric? I don't get it. I don't get how they can reflect on themselves doing these things and had the perspective of being like a Bitcoin maximalist or supremacist or whatever the fuck. I don't get that. See, to me, that's somebody ejaculating out of their mouth, but somebody else jerked off into their ear. Or their eyes, one of the two, I don't know. But it's only after you start experiencing cryptocurrencies on an individual level that you understand the unrealism behind this perspective. A lot of the things that people are enabling with quote-unquote lightning and so on, they've been around for years. The only reason that a lot of people don't use them is because they don't really want the trade-offs. Going back to custodial services. Why the fuck do I want to do that? I experience enough of that just with the cryptocurrency exchange. Why do I want to introduce that to my daily commerce? Fuck that. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. We've already played some Slayer. We haven't played any Slipknot. How the fuck did that happen? Slipknot, Custer, here on Coin Metal. And that was Anthrax with The Devil That You Know. And speaking of devils we know, got this article here, and hopefully we'll be able to squeeze it in. Fugitive, John McAfee on the phone, the full interview. And this is published about 22 hours ago. It's on coinspectator.com. Continuing on. No attribute as to actually who wrote this thing. Oh, you know what? This site usually is a propagator, that's why. Here we go. This is actually on chepicap.com, CHEPICAP.com. Fugitive John McAfee on the phone, the full interview. This is written January 25th, 2019 by Will Heisman. John McAfee had fled the United States earlier this week after he heard that a secret grand jury is about to release an indictment stating that McAfee didn't pay taxes on cryptocurrency investments. Chepicap had an exclusive interview with the die-hard crypto enthusiast who has left the U.S. with the Freedom Boat and is now in the Bahamas. This is the full transcript of the interview. Hopefully we'll have enough time to get it all in. If you want to read the article with the interview that Chepicap had with McAfee and the background story, you can find it here. Let's see here. For all the readers, here's the full transcript of the interview that was taken in two parts, one of 5 minutes and one of 9 minutes. The reason for the two separate parts: McAfee at first didn't want to stay on the phone for more than 5 minutes so that authorities wouldn't be able to track the signal. Part 1. McAfee: I'm available now. Will Heisman: brilliant. Okay, so then thank you again for agreeing to talk to us. McAfee: not a problem, not a problem. Our timing is tied. I can't speak for more than 5 minutes at a time, or they will be able to track the signal, sir. Will: WH: are we able to call you back? JM: yeah, well, no. We can talk for 5 minutes. Just wait a few hours and talk for another 5. That's the only way we can do this, sir. All right. WH: okay, so I'll jump straight to it. Did you see the situation coming? It's been a few hectic days for you. Could you explain the situation a bit and what's going on? JM: of course. I saw the situation coming. I mean, I'm John McAfee. I'm one of the world's leading computer security experts, which means I know how to find out anything, obviously. So, I knew it was coming, of course. Took months of preparation. This took months of preparations. You may call me a coward, but I'm standing up to music. However, I cannot talk to the people. I cannot run a campaign if I have no voice. And in prison I have no voice. The instant they put out an indictment, had I stayed, I would have been arrested, thrown in prison, and they would have argued that I would be a flight risk, and they would not have given me bail. Well, of course, I'm a flight risk. I'm in flight. I have nothing to hide, nothing except for my own person, my own body, and I'm hiding it from being collected. Everything else in my life is as open as it can possibly be. So, they did not count on me finding out about the secret grand jury, which I did, and here I am. We put out a very fascinating video this morning on Twitter about a CIA department-sponsored attempt to collect me already, even though, I haven't been formally charged until the grand jury releases its indictment, which can be today, tomorrow, or in 2 weeks. A taste of what we are going through. The long arm of the corrupt elements of the U.S. government reaches the far ends of the earth in unexpected ways. My charisma and the veracity of our own story has so far overcome every threat by the IRS. God bless the honor of the Bahamians. Let's see here. WH, do you think the IRS involvement has to do with your crypto involvement? JM, this is all about crypto. I am the one who has been saying on all of the conferences, all of the keynote speeches, crypto will kill every attempt to collect taxes. It can't be done. If we all use privacy coins and then go on to say, and I think that's a good thing, and then go on to say, I think that's a good thing. Okay, whatever. If they can take me down, it will send a signal to everyone. If we can take down McAfee, then we can take down you. It will harm crypto tremendously. So I cannot allow that to happen. And this is what's going on. WH. So you're planning to run the presidential campaign from the Freedom Boat. What can we expect to see? Let's see. It's going to be the most unique campaign in American history. I cannot show up anywhere where they know I will be. I'm using surrogates or German doppelgangers, people wearing a mask with electronic facilities that can give a keynote as me. They won't be talking. I'll be talking through a little speaker, and I will be able to see the conference attendees answer questions, shake hands even, and we have thousands of volunteers ready to go. WH. And what kind of policies do you think you'll promote on the campaign? JM. I have no policies, there is only one. How can we make a policy when we live within a government that is comprised entirely of secrets? How can I make a policy about something that I don't know the truth about? I can't. Not any candidate for president. We first have to free ourselves from this bale of deception that our government has created and is using to control us. And how do we do that? Let me talk. I'm 73. The situation I'm in now, this is not unique to me. To my life. This is my life. I do nothing but fight corruption. How? By bringing to people's awareness the truth of their existence. That's all. That's my campaign. We're going to have to break it off right there. It is 10:57, so we definitely have to round it out quick. But thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I'd like y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. Watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody's going to do it for you. And as is evidenced by the situation at hand, not even John McAfee can be secure from them. Thank you again for listening. And as far as our last dance is concerned, we're going to have to do it short and sweet, kids. And so I know I played 9 Inch Nails before, but there's a song that they do on the Downward Spiral that is kind of fit, and it's really fast. And so let's see, where is it? Right there. I don't know. Actually, that one's a little bit short. We already played I think this is about right. So here it is. Big Man with a Big Gun. Last Dance here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent weekend.